Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I'd like a warm welcome to Nityānanda Prabhu, wherever he may be. Did you know he's here? Yes. He's in the house. Naveen is in the house. I don't see him in the outside people's party. He hasn't chosen a party yet. First, offer our respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has given us the full-fledged English translation of the Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, thus preempting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's prophecy that everyone would race to learn Bengali so they could read this book. Prabhupada bridged that gap. We're taking up our reading of the Madhya Lila. We're at chapter 5, entitled The Activities of Sakshi's-gopāla. And I'm going to start up at text number 114. The Lord continued, I have become very much pleased by the truthfulness of you both. Now you can ask for a benediction. Thus, with great pleasure, the two brahmanas begged for a benediction. The brahmanas said, please remain here so that people all over the world will know how merciful you are to your servants. Lord Gopal stayed, and the two brahmanas engaged in his service. After hearing of the incident, many people from different countries began to come to see Gopal. Eventually, the king of that country heard this wonderful story, and he also came to see Gopal and thus became very satisfied. The king constructed a nice temple, and regular service was executed. Gopal became very famous under the name Sakshi-gopāla, the witness Gopal. Thus Sakshi-gopāla stayed in Vidyanagara and accepted service for a very long time. Purport: this city of Vidyanagara is situated in Trilanga Desh, South India, on the bank of the river Godavari. The place where the Godavari flows into the Bay of Bengal is called Kota Desh. The Orissa kingdom was very powerful, and Kota Desh was the capital of Orissa. It was then known as Vidyanagara. Formerly, this city was situated on the southern side of the river Godavari. At that time, King Purushottam Dev managed to control Orissa and appoint a government. The present city of Vidyanagara is on the southeast side of the river, only 20 to 25 miles from Rajamahendri. During the time of Maharaj Prataparuja, Sri Ramananda Roy was the governor there. Vijayanagar is not identical with Vidyanagara. Later there was a fight, and this country was conquered by King Purushottam Dev of Orissa. That king was victorious over the king of Vidyanagara, and he took possession of his throne, the Manikya Singhasana, which was bedecked with many jewels. King Purushottam Dev was a great devotee and was advanced in the civilization of the Aryans. He begged at the lotus feet of Gopal, please come to my kingdom. When the king begged him to come to his kingdom, Gopal, who was already obliged for his devotional service, accepted his prayer. Thus the king took the Gopal deity and went back to Cuttack. After winning the Manikya throne, King Purushottam Dev took it to Jagannath Puri and presented it to Lord Jagannath. In the meantime, he also established regular worship of the Gopal deity at Cuttack. When the Gopal deity was installed at Cuttack, the queen of Purushottam Dev went to see him and, with great devotion, presented various kinds of ornaments. The queen had a very valuable pearl, which she wore on her nose, and she wished to give it to Gopal. She then began to think as follows: if there were a hole in the deity's nose, I could transfer the pearl to him. Considering this, the queen offered her obeisances to Gopal and returned to her palace. That night she dreamed that Gopal appeared and began to speak to her as follows. During my childhood, my mother made a hole in my nose and with great endeavor set a pearl there. That very hole is still there, and you can use it to set the pearl you desired to give me. After dreaming this, the queen explained it to her husband, the king. Both the king and the queen then went to the temple with the pearl. Seeing the hole in the nose of the deity, they set the pearl there and, being very pleased, held a great festival. Since then, Gopal has been situated in the city of Cuttack, and he has been known ever since as Sakshi's-gopāla. Thus, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu heard the narration of Gopal's activities. Both he and his personal devotees became very pleased. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was sitting before the Gopal deity, all the devotees saw him and the deity as being of the same form. They were of the same complexion, and both had gigantic bodies. Both wore saffron cloth, and both were very grave. The devotees saw that both Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gopal were brilliantly effulgent and had eyes like lotuses. They were both absorbed in ecstasy, and both their faces resembled full moons. When Nityānanda saw the Gopal deity and saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way, he began to exchange remarks with the devotees, all of whom were smiling. Thus, with great pleasure, Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu passed that night in the temple. After seeing the Mangalarti ceremony in the morning, he started on his journey. In his book, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very vividly described the places visited by the Lord on the way to Bhuvaneshwar. Purport, in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakanda, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very nicely described the Lord's journey en route to Cuttack. On that journey, the Lord visited a place known as Bahihashta, or Bala Kati Kachi. He then visited the city of Bhuvaneshwar, where Lord Shiva's temple is located. The temple of Bhuvaneshwar is situated about 5 to 6 miles from Bala Kati Kachi. The temple of Lord Shiva is mentioned in the Skanda Purana, in the narration about the Lord's garden and the one mango tree. A king named Kashiraj wanted to fight Lord Kṛṣṇa, and consequently he took shelter of Lord Shiva to acquire the power to fight the Lord. Being pleased with his worship, Lord Shiva helped him fight Kṛṣṇa. Lord Shiva's name is Ashutosh, which indicates that he is very easily satisfied when one worships him, regardless of the purpose, and he gives his devotee whatever benediction the devotee wants. Therefore, people are generally very fond of worshipping Lord Shiva. Thus, Kashiraj was helped by Lord Shiva, but in the fight with Lord Kṛṣṇa, he was not only defeated but killed. In this way, the weapon known as Pashupata Astra was baffled, and Kṛṣṇa set fire to the city of Kashiraj, city of Kashi. Later, Lord Shiva became conscious of his mistake in helping Kashiraj, and he begged Lord Kṛṣṇa's forgiveness. As a benediction from Lord Kṛṣṇa, he received a place known as Ekambra Kanana. Later, the kings of the Keshari dynasty established their capital there, and for many hundreds of years they reigned over the state of Orissa. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu arrived at Kamalapur, he took his bath in the Bhargi Nadi River, and left his sannyas staff in the hands of Lord Nityānanda. Purport, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakanda chapter 2, it is said that when Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu arrived at Sri Bhuvaneshwar, he visited the temple of Lord Shiva known as Gupta Kashi, the concealed Varanasi. Lord Shiva established this as a place of pilgrimage by bringing water from all holy places and creating the lake known as Bindu Sarovara. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu took his bath in this lake, feeling a great regard for Lord Shiva. From the spiritual point of view, people still go to take a bath in this lake. Actually, by taking bath there, one becomes very healthy, even from the material viewpoint. Taking a bath and drinking the water of this lake can cure any disease of the stomach. Regular bathing certainly cures indigestion. The river Bargi, or Bargi Nadi, came to be known as Dandabhanga Nadi, after Lord Chaitanya bathed in its waters. It is situated 6 miles north of Jagannath Puri. The reason for the change in names is given as follows. When Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva, known as Kapoteshvara, Nityānanda Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas staff in custody, broke the staff in 3 parts and threw it into the river Bhargin Nadi. Later, this river became known as Dandabhanga Nadi. Purport: the mystery of the sannyas danda, staff, of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu has been explained by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu accepted the order of sannyas from a Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasis generally carry 1 staff or danda. Taking advantage of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's absence, Srila Nityānanda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 parts and threw it into the river, later known as the Dandabhanga Nadi. In the sannyas order, there are 4 divisions: Kutichak, Bahudak, Hamsa, and Paramahamsa. Only when the sannyasi remains on the Kutichak and Bahudak platforms can he carry a staff. However, when one is elevated to the status of Hamsa or Paramahamsa, after touring and preaching the bhakti cult, he must give up the sannyas staff. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore said, Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anna. 2 personalities, Srimati Radharani and Śrī Kṛṣṇa, are combined in the incarnation of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Therefore, considering Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu to be an extraordinary person, Lord Nityānanda Prabhu did not wait for the Paramahamsa stage. He reasoned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically on the Paramahamsa stage. Therefore, he does not need to carry the sannyas danda. This is the reason Sri Nityānanda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 pieces and threw it into the water. After seeing the temple of Jagannath from a distant place, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu immediately became ecstatic. After offering obeisances to the temple, he began to dance in the ecstasy of love of God. The word Deula, do you concur or not? Deula. The word Devula. The word Devula refers to the temple where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated. The present temple of Jagannath Puri was constructed by King Ananga Bhima. Historians say this temple must have been constructed at least 2,000 years ago. During the time of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the small buildings surrounding the original temple had not been constructed, nor was the high platform in front of the temple present during the time of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. All the devotees became ecstatic in the association of Lord Chaitanya, and thus absorbed in love of God, they were dancing and singing while going along the main road. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu laughed, cried, danced, and made many ecstatic vibrations and sounds. Although the temple was only 6 miles away, to him the distance seemed thousands of miles. Purport: when Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was in ecstasy, he considered one moment to last as long as 12 years. After seeing the Jagannath temple from a distant place, the Lord became so ecstatic that he considered the 6-mile path many thousands of miles long. Thus, walking and walking, the Lord eventually arrived at the place known as Ataranala. Arriving there, he expressed his external consciousness, speaking to Sri Nityānanda Prabhu. At the entrance to Jagannath Puri is a bridge with 18 arches called Ataranala. Atara means 18. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had thus regained external consciousness, he asked Lord Nityānanda Prabhu, "Please return my staff." Nityānanda Prabhu then replied, "It has been broken into 3 parts." Nityānanda Prabhu said, "When you fell down in ecstasy, I caught you, but both of us together fell upon the staff." Thus the staff broke under our weight, but where the pieces have gone, I cannot say. It is certainly because of my offense that your staff was broken. Now you can punish me on this account if you think proper. After hearing the story about how his staff had been broken, the Lord expressed a little sadness and, displaying a bit of anger, began to speak as follows. Purport. Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the staff. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all other sannyasis that they should not give up the staff before attaining the platform of Paramahamsa. Seeing that the regulative principles could be slackened by such action, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the staff personally. However, Nityananda broke it. For this reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed a little anger. It is said in Bhagavad Gita 3:21, "Yad yad acharati shreshtas, tat tad eve tarojana." Whatever great people do, others follow. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who try to imitate Paramahamsas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You have all benefited me by bringing me to Nilachala. However, my only possession was that one staff, and you have not kept it. So all of you should go before or behind me to see Lord Jagannath. I shall not go with you." Mukunda Datta told Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, "My Lord, you should go ahead and allow all the others to follow. We shall not go with you." Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu then began to walk very swiftly before all the other devotees. No one could understand the real purpose of the 2 lords, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityānanda Prabhu. The devotees could not understand why Nityānanda Prabhu broke the staff, why Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, or why, after permitting him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. The pastime of the breaking of the staff is very deep. Only one whose devotion is fixed upon the lotus feet of the 2 lords can understand it. Purport. One who understands Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Śrī Nityananda Prabhu in reality can understand their identity as well as the breaking of the staff. All the previous acharyas, being induced to engage themselves fully in the service of the Lord, gave up attachment for material life and thus accepted the staff, which signifies full engagement of the mind, speech and body in the service of the Lord. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the regulative principles of the renounced order of life. That is completely clear. However, in the Paramahamsa stage, there is no need to accept a danda. And Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly in the Paramahamsa stage. Nonetheless, to indicate that everyone should take sannyas at the end of life in order to engage fully in the service of the Lord, even Paramahamsas like Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotees follow the regulative principles unfailingly. Indeed, that was his purpose. Nityananda Prabhu, who is his eternal servitor, believed that there was no need for Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu to carry the staff and to declare to the world that Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu was above all regulations. He broke it into 3 pieces. The pastime known as Danda Bhanga Lila is thus explained by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. For those who haven't been there, it's a very beautiful holy place near Jagannath Puri that we usually go to when we do our yatra there. It's right on the Dangabanga Nadi, and the water is so crystal clear I couldn't help but dive in last time. And the breezes coming off the river, we sit and have kirtan and talk up there on a platform that's just above the river. I want to, at this point, bring up something, continue the thread. As yesterday I mentioned how Prabhupada had said that those on traveling Sankirtan, he gave indication they could take what they wish. He wanted to end that controversy, and then Nityānanda Prabhu had brought up, well, what about bread? And I said, no bread, because it's really gross. But in any case, there's another recording I remembered. It's on the record. Prabhupada in a room conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and somebody else. I can't remember who else was in the room, but it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj was asking about strictness in various vrats and vows while he and others were traveling. And Prabhupada, the culmination of Prabhupada's opinion on that, he said as follows. He said, for the preacher there's no rules. And then he said, but don't take it. So this is very, very similar. There's a verisimilitude to these two pastimes, because here we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowing Nityananda to break the staff, throw into the Banganadi River. At the same time, he protested. And here our acharyas are saying, like, yeah, there's no rules for him, he's a Paramahamsa, but still he should follow the rules. So Prabhupada said the same thing. When they were pressing him about how many detailed vows they should, there were more things like, should we be following Chaturmasya and this and that? And Prabhupada, for the preacher, for those who are going out to preach, he said there are no rules. But he said, but don't take it. So we should understand that preaching is put on that high platform, and one may adjust as necessary, but one should be really careful in doing that and not take liberties. Be as strict as possible in all ways. Devrata? I know you didn't raise your hand. I just thought I'd ask you if you had any comment, since you brought up that important point about devotees.
I would say that we have to be careful with these statements, because sometimes if they enter into the parlance of circumstances where you do have the option to be able to cook for yourself, you do have the option. I mean, even on traveling, we always cooked for ourselves. So we have to be careful to not take advantage of Prabhupada's leniency, but simultaneously understand there's a time, place, and circumstance to adjust things to see that the Sankirtan mission can expand, and just educating ourselves as to why we should not take food by non-devotees, I think, is a topic of a needed discussion in some areas of our movement, and it could be illuminating for many devotees if they have that education.
Thank you. I'm continuing. 159. The glories of Lord Gopal, who is merciful to brahmanas, are very great. The narration of Saksha-gopāla was spoken by Nityānanda Prabhu and heard by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. There are 4 points of instruction one should consider in the story of Saksha-gopāla. First, the deity, arcā-vigraha of Śrī Gopāla, is eternally sac-cid-ānanda-vigraha, the transcendental form of the Lord. Second, the deity surpasses material regulative principles and extends the reality of transcendental principles. Third, one can be situated in a transcendental position after becoming a brahmana. But as a brahmana, one has to follow the regulative principles very strictly. Lastly, brahmaṇya-deva indicates Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa Himself, who is worshipped thus. Namo brahmaṇya-devāya go-brāhmaṇa-hitāya cha jagad-dhitāya kṛṣṇāya govindāya namo namaḥ. This indicates that a devotee who is under the protection of Krishna is automatically situated as a brahmana, and such a brahmana is not illusioned. This is factual. One who hears this narration of Lord Gopal with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. I'm not going to read the last verse yet because I had one other piece of evidence to enter into the thread. And it's a conversation where some devotees were going to take initiation. And somebody asked if they should fast that day before the initiation. And in the conversation, Prabhupada said, you are already fasting because you don't take meat, fish, or eggs. And it goes somewhere in that collection of the strictures about what one should do. At the same time, Prabhupada writes in a purport that one should observe fast, that tapasya means observing fast days as strictly as possible. So, since this pastime included the balance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanting to carry the sannyas staff for the sake of strictness, and Nityānanda Prabhu saying you're already Paramahamsa, I thought it'd be good to collect those pieces of evidence and consider them all at the same time. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 5th chapter, describing the activities of Sakshi-gopāla. Bravo. Sadhu, sadhu. Jai, jai.